What's going on, reality hackers? It's Michael, and I'm excited about today's video. This is something that honestly I read for the first time probably 6 or 7 years ago, at least, maybe a little bit more. But ultimately, there was this program in 70s, 80s, 90s. Don't have specifics on timeline, but it was called Project Stargate. And among Stargate was a bunch of other programs inside of the CIA where they studied psychic abilities, not only for warfare, but for intelligence purposes. They had people that were literally put into place before satellites were a thing, to see if they could spot different things at different sites for military intelligence purposes. I will put a link in the description that has just a list of all of these different programs, places. They also proved that astral travel is objectively real, lots of different things of that nature. But what I'm really excited about is today's video, where we're going to go through a remote viewing session that was set up specifically with coordinates on Mars. This is organized by the government, CIA, coordinates on Mars a million years ago. So what I'm going to do is open up my screen and you'll be able to see, and we'll get started. All right, so this is the document. This is the document here. I will have a link to this in the description here, but let's go through it really quickly. By the way, this is from a company called the Black Vault. They do a lot of research on declassified documents, support the declassification process, as we know that there have been many things that the government has been involved in that have been regarded as outlandish for many years, but now we are coming to know has been totally true. So ultimately, what they did is they had a method of site acquisition, right? Sealed envelope coupled with geographic coordinates. The sealed envelope was given to the subject immediately prior to the interview. The envelope was not opened until after the interview. In the envelope was a 3x5 card with the following information: planet Mars, time of interest, approximately 1 million years BC, right? Selected geographic coordinates provided by the parties requesting the information were verbally given to the subject during the interview. Okay. So I'm not going to read these timestamps. We'll just read through the majority of the substantial information. All right. Using the information in the envelope I've provided, exclusively focusing your attention now, using in the information in the envelope, focus on 40.89 degrees north, 9.55 degrees west, right? Okay. This is the person, right? And this is the interviewer. Okay. I want to say it sort of looks like an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form, very high, sitting in a large depressed area. All right. It's yellowish, ochre colored. Okay, move in time to the time indicated in the envelope I have provided you and describe what's happening. I'm tracking severe clouds, more like dust storms. A geologic problem seems to be like, really just a minute. I've got to iron this out. It's really weird. Just report your raw perceptions at this time. You're still early in the session, says the facilitator. I'm looking at the after effect of a major geologic problem. Okay, go back to the time before the geologic problem. Total difference. It's before, oh hell, it's like mountains of dirt appear and then disappear when you go before. Large flat surfaces, smooth angles, walls. They're really large though, kind of megalithic. All right, at this period in time now, before the geologic activity, look around in and around this area, see if you can find any activity. I'm seeing it's a perception of a shadow of people, very tall, thin. It's only a shadow. It's if they were there and they're not there anymore. Okay, we'll go back to a period of time when they were there. It's like I get a lot of static on a line and everything. It's breaking up all the time, very fragmentary pieces. Notice how the facilitator tells them just to report the raw data, right? We don't want to interpret them, just report. And I think this is interesting because at the end of the day, like, we are the universe experiencing itself. So there's no reason why we cannot tap into experiences that may be happening or have happened outside of the locality of our space-time. And there actually was a piece done the other day that was just released about the locality of the universe not being real. We'll get into that later. Let's jump back in. Okay, just keep seeing very large people. They appear thin and tall. They're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes. All right, now holding this time period, I want to move from your physical location in space to another physical location, but in this time period. So now move to 4645 north, 353, 352 east. Moving this time to 4645 north, 353, 22 east. Okay, deep inside of a cavern, not like a cavern, more like a canyon. I'm looking up the sides of a steep wall that seemed to go on forever. And there's like a structure with, it's like the wall of a canyon itself has been carved. Again, I'm getting a very large structures. No, intricacies, huge sections of smooth stone. Into the structures of insides and outsides, yes, they vary. It's like a rabbit warren, corners of rooms. They're really huge. Don't really feel like I'm standing in one. It's just really big. Perception is that the ceiling is high. The walls are very wide, right? Keep in mind, it's been 22 minutes at this point. Okay, let's move to another location. And notice how the facilitator says, yes, that would be correct. Interesting. I wonder what they know. 4586 north, 354-1 east. Appears to be the end of a very large road, and there's a marker like the Washington Monument. It's an obelisk. Okay, they see an obelisk, right? From this point, let's move to another point. So we go to 3526 north, 21324 east. Again, we're in the middle of a circular basin by the range of mountains all the way around. Very ragged, very tall. The basin is very large, very, very big. Okay, we continue to go down. They could take them to another area. Cluster of squares up and down. It's like you want to make them square anyways. They're almost flush with the ground, and it's like they're connected. Something very white or reflects light. All right, and then we continue to go, and he points down another direction. Okay, it's like I can perceive a radiating pattern of some kind. It's like a really strange intersection kind of roads that are dug into valleys where a road is just a little below the edge. All right, what are the shapes? They're like neat channels cut. They're very deep. It's like the road went down. Okay. We want to really, and this is where the facilitator attempts to get the person back into focus because they're definitely like going out. It's really tough. Seems like it's always just very sporadic, right? And it's amazing how the facilitator continues to bring them back. Like this must have been, it's just amazing to watch this process unfold. Okay. So another location, right? Intersecting are aqueducts, right? Rounded bottom carved channels like road beds. Pointed tops of something on the horizon. Top looks funny and weird, kind of like really far away. Another movement. Okay, now he really begins to just notice these pyramids, these basins, these caverns. So now the facilitator decides to let him explore where he wants to go. And this is where things get really interesting. So it's filtered from storms or something. Say that again, right? They're like shelters from storms. Okay, so now the structures are shelters, right? Now, the remote viewer says they're designed for that. So intuitively he knows, right? So all right, let's go on one of these, find some activity to tell me about. Okay, now it's been 37 minutes since this session has started. Okay, different chambers, stripped of furnishing, strictly functional place for sleeping or hibernations, right? Again, there's a big storm, there's a lot of interference, and ultimately this guy is literally looking at a time that's over 1 million years ago. Now, tell me, the facilitator says, tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Very tall, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because of their height, and they dress like, it's like a light silk, but it's not flowing. It's like cut to fit. So move close to one of them and ask them to tell you about themselves. They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. They're very philosophic about it. They're looking for a way to survive, and they just can't. Okay? It's been 40 minutes now. They can't seem to get their way out. They can't seem to find their way out, so they're hanging on while they look or wait for something to return or something coming with the answer. What is it they're waiting for? They're waiting for a group or party of them that went to find a new place to live, kind of getting all kinds of overwhelming input of the corruption of their environment. It's failing very rapidly, and this group went somewhere like a long way to find another place to live. What was the cause of a disturbance or the atmospheric disturbance or the environment disturbance? The reader says, I see a picture of it's like a warp in So I get a globe. It's like a globe that goes through a comet's tail. It's through a river or something, but it's all very cosmic. It's like space pictures. All right. Now, before you leave the individual, ask him if there's any way ask him if he knows who you are and if there's any way you can help him in his present predicament. Now, the viewer says, all I can get is that they must just wait. Doesn't know who I am. He thinks he perceives that I'm a hallucination or something. So the viewer thinks that the guy he's talking to thinks that the viewer himself is a hallucination. And that's amazing, because if this is objective truth, this is literally proof that we can go back in time and talk to people, even though they might necessarily think that we are hallucinations, which is very interesting when it comes to talking to people now. Let's continue going. So, okay, when the others left, these people are waiting. How did they go? Okay, got the impression of, don't know what the hell it is. Looks like the inside of a larger boat, very rounded walls and shiny metal. Rounded walls and shiny metal. UFO, anybody? Right? Tic Tac. Go along with them on their journey, find out where they go. So, impression of a really crazy place with volcanoes, gas pockets, strange plants, very volatile. It's much like going from the frying pan into the fire. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not. Different kind of storm. What if it was Earth? I don't know. We could see. All right. It's time to come back now to the sound of my voice in the present time right now, the 22nd of May, 1984, the sound of my voice. Move now back to the room, back to the sound of my voice, back further now to the sound of my voice on the 22nd of May, 1984. And so, wow, what a crazy remote viewing session, right? Essentially, what happened is this guy went back in time over 1 million years to Martian history and actually had an engaging conversation with what might have been the last actual species to survive on Mars. And now, if you've been following on the latest, news and insight into Martian research, even from a mainstream perspective, we're starting to understand that Mars looked very much like Earth at one point. And I've heard a lot of theories. I've heard that Mars carries a consistency of a post-nuclear war. There's a lot of really amazing things in this, and I'm going to let you take a look at it. I'll let you take a read on it, and we'll definitely explore some more of these things. But, if you're into this stuff, I am, and I think ultimately seeing it from this perspective allows us to really understand that it is definitively real. And you can obviously take this with a grain of salt, but in my own experience, I would 100% believe in the objectivity of this experience, maybe with a difference in detail. But yeah, where do you go with this? What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I know this was a little bit of a different video, but I'm really excited about it. And I hope you are too. You're amazing. You're worthy. You're loved. I'm signing off. Talk to you soon. Hey there, if you had an amazing time today, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Would love to see you, would love to hang out with you. Definitely going to share some more videos like this, but also, man, I just love going here. I love going down the rabbit hole. And then like, comment, subscribe, any feedback you've got. Would love to hear it, love to engage. You're amazing, you're awesome, and we'll talk to you soon.